Welcome, dear friend, and thank you for choosing to find your rest here within this quiet space. This story was made for you, a gentle place to let your mind settle and your day soften, preparing you for a peaceful and restorative sleep. If you find comfort in our time together, a simple like or a kind comment is always so deeply appreciated, as is subscribing to Find Your Way Back Here Again. Tonight, we will be visiting the Sunken Library of Aeridor, a place of profound stillness nestled deep in a quiet valley. It is a place where sunbeams are filled with the gentle memories of quiet afternoons, and where the only measure of time is the slow, peaceful drift of dust. Prepare to be enveloped in its deep calm, a gentle respite for your mind and spirit. Chapter 1. The Sunken Library. One must understand that some places are not found on maps, existing instead at the end of a long, quiet thought. The Sunken Library of Aeridor was one such place, and it was here that Cassian found himself, standing at the rim of a valley that seemed to hold the day's last, softest light. It was a journey made not with haste, but with a slow and deliberate putting of one foot before the other, until the sounds of the wider world became a forgotten murmur, replaced by a quiet so profound it felt like a gentle weight upon his shoulders. The air itself seemed to welcome him, a cool and calming presence that smelled of damp, fertile earth and the sweet green scent of ferns unfurling in the shade. It was a fragrance that spoke of deep, untroubled time and the patient turning of seasons. A path made of smooth, compacted clay the color of a robin's egg began its gentle spiral downward into the heart of the valley. It was a path that asked for nothing, a simple invitation to slowness. Cassian's boots made only the softest of scuffing sounds upon its surface, a rhythmic whisper that joined the sigh of the wind as it moved through the tall oat-colored grasses lining the valley's edge. He paused, resting a hand on the cool living surface of a birch tree whose bark felt like old parchment. Looking down, he saw the library for the first time, not as a grand structure, but as a low, gentle rise in the land, its roof a thick carpet of living turf, dotted with small pale wildflowers that nodded in the breeze. The building itself seemed to have grown from the valley floor, a harmonious creation of pale silvery wood and warm, rose-colored cob. It had the look of something shaped by patient hands over many, many years, its lines soft and its angles gentle. There were no harsh edges here, only curves that mirrored the sweep of the hills and the slow bend of a slumbering river. High arched windows, made not of glass, but of some other, softer material, caught the fading light and held it, giving off a warm internal glow that seemed to pulse with a slow and steady heartbeat. It was a beacon of pure tranquility in the gathering twilight. As Cassian drew nearer, the gentle hum of the world grew clearer. It was the sound of bees, thousands of them, working diligently in the clover that grew thick and sweet all around the library's foundation. Their low, contented buzzing was the only true industry here, a gentle and productive murmur that wove itself into the fabric of the evening's peace. The sound seemed to vibrate in the very air, a resonant frequency of calm, that settled deep in his chest. He took a slow, deep breath, and the scent of honey and clover filled him, a taste of pure golden sweetness that was both comforting and kind. He reached the entrance, a simple arched doorway of unadorned wood, worn smooth by the touch of countless hands. The door was slightly ajar, a quiet and trusting welcome. As he stepped across the threshold, the air changed once more. It became warmer, insulated from the evening chill, and carried a new tapestry of scents. The fragrance was of old, well-loved paper, the clean, sweet aroma of beeswax, and an underlying hint of dried herbs, perhaps lavender and chamomile, that spoke of comfort and rest. The sounds of the valley faded completely, replaced by a stillness so complete it felt like a soft blanket being drawn up to his chin. The interior was illuminated by that same gentle, diffused light he had seen from above. He now saw that the windows were made of thinly sliced, polished agate, their natural swirling patterns turning the daylight into a soft, dreamlike wash of muted color upon the smooth wooden floors. The walls were lined with shelves, each one filled with books bound in soft, supple leather of varying, gentle hues. The space was circular, with a high, domed ceiling from which a single, simple orb of pale, glowing light was suspended, casting long, soft shadows that seemed to dance in a slow, unending waltz. The floor beneath his feet was made of wide planks of a pale silvery wood worn to a gentle smoothness by generations of quiet footsteps. Cassian could feel the faint, pleasant coolness of the wood through the soles of his boots, a grounding sensation that connected him to the deep, peaceful heart of this place. He stood there for a long moment, simply breathing, feeling the gentle release of a tension he hadn't even noticed he was carrying. It was a quiet unspooling in his shoulders and at the back of his neck, a gradual softening that mirrored the fading of the light outside. He found his assigned room easily, just off the main circular chamber. It was small and simple, with a low, comfortable-looking bed covered in a thick, hand-woven quilt, a small wooden desk, and a single deep-seated chair beside another arched agate window. A small vase on the desk held a single sprig of dried lavender, its calming scent a gentle whisper in the air. He ran his hand over the quilt, its texture a soft and pleasing pattern of raised stitching against thick, warm wool. Here in this room, the quiet was even deeper, a profound and welcoming silence that promised a night of deep and untroubled rest. Chapter 2. A Cup of Quiet. Cassian awoke not to a sound, but to a slow and gentle dawning of awareness, as if he were a plant turning slowly toward the sun. The morning light that filled his small circular room was soft and diffused, filtered through the pale agate of the window into a milky, serene glow. It held none of the harshness of a direct dawn, arriving instead as a quiet announcement that the day had begun its gentle reign. The air in the room was cool and still, carrying the faint and pleasant scent of old paper from the library beyond, now mingled with the delicate herbal fragrance of the dried lavender sprig on his desk. He lay for a long moment, simply observing the way the soft light touched the different textures in the room, from the rough weave of the woolen blanket to the smooth, cool plaster of the curved wall. He rose and dressed in the same unhurried manner, his movements slow and deliberate in the peaceful quiet. When he emerged from his room, he found the library's caretaker, Nora, waiting for him in the main chamber. She stood within a column of morning light, and her presence was as serene as the space she inhabited. She offered him a simple, kind smile and a soft nod of greeting, her movements possessing a quiet, unhurried grace that seemed to be a part of the library itself. There was a warmth in her eyes that was instantly comforting, a silent welcome that needed no words. Nora gestured toward two comfortable, deep-seated chairs near a large window where a small wooden table was already set. Upon it sat a simple clay teapot, steam winding from its spout in a slow, lazy spiral, and two handcrafted mugs that felt warm and solid in Cassian's hands. She poured the tea, a pale golden liquid that smelled sweetly of chamomile and a hint of honey. The delicate floral scent rose to meet him, a comforting aroma that seemed to quiet the mind and settle the spirit. It mingled pleasantly with the ever-present gentle scent of beeswax and old books that permeated the library's air. They sat for a time in a comfortable and companionable silence, a quiet understanding passing between them that needed no conversation to fill it. The only sounds were the soft clink of a mug being set down and the faint, almost inaudible hum of the library itself. Cassian watched a single thick sunbeam that slanted across the room, a luminous pathway from the high window to the wooden floor. It was a world in itself, a slow, swirling cosmos of tiny drifting particles of dust, each one catching the light for a moment and sparkling like a miniature star before drifting on. The sight was deeply hypnotic, a slow and endless dance of light and matter. It was then that he felt it for the first time, a sensation so subtle he almost dismissed it. A single mote of dust, larger than the others, drifted close to his hand where it rested on the arm of the chair. As it passed through the sunbeam, he felt a fleeting, gentle warmth bloom across his skin, a warmth that had nothing to do with the sun itself. It was followed a moment later by the distinct and perfect scent of a sun-ripened peach, fresh from the tree, its fragrance so vivid it was as if the fruit were right there in the room. The sensation was gone as quickly as it had come, leaving behind only a sense of gentle wonder. Cassian looked at Nora, a quiet question in his eyes. She simply smiled, a knowing and gentle expression, and gave a small, slow nod toward the sunbeam. Her gesture was all the confirmation he needed. There was a soft and ancient magic at work here, a magic of memory and light. It was an enchantment that did not announce itself with loud displays, but revealed itself in quiet whispers and gentle sensory echoes. The dust of this place, it seemed, was an archive of moments, a slow and patient almanac of quiet, forgotten afternoons. He took another sip of his tea, its warmth spreading through him, and felt a deep sense of contentment settle in his heart. The taste of chamomile and honey on his tongue was a pleasant, grounding reality. He turned his attention back to the sunbeam, no longer just a stream of light, but a river of quiet stories. He watched the motes drift and swirl, his mind calm and his heart open, ready to receive the gentle gifts of this extraordinary place. He understood now that his time here would be one of listening not with his ears, but with all of his senses. The feeling of the warm, smooth ceramic mug in his hands was a comforting anchor. He traced the simple, unglazed pattern on its side with his thumb, a slightly rougher texture that felt pleasant against his skin. Outside the agate window, the world of the valley was waking up in its own slow time. The soft green of the turf roof now dotted with dew that caught the morning light. A gentle peace, deeper than any he had known, began to take root within him, as quiet and as patient as the library itself. Chapter 3. The Scriptorium of Motes. Drawn by a gentle curiosity that felt as natural as breathing, Cassian made his way toward the heart of the library, a vast, circular chamber known as the Great Scriptorium. The air grew warmer and smelled even more strongly of aged parchment and beeswax as he walked down a short, curved hallway. The low, resonant hum of the building was more pronounced here, a soft vibration he could feel in the soles of his feet through the smooth, pale wood of the floor. It was a deeply soothing sensation, like the purring of a great sleeping creature, and it settled his thoughts into a slow and easy rhythm. The Scriptorium opened up before him a space of breathtaking and gentle grandeur. The domed ceiling soared high above, crisscrossed with beams of that same silvery wood polished to a soft sheen by time. Immense arched windows, tall and slender, lined the curved walls, and through them great pillars of morning light pierced the stillness of the room. Each beam of light was a solid, luminous column, a silent waterfall of brilliance that illuminated the swirling cosmos of dust within it. This was the source of the library's quiet magic, laid bare in all its simple, profound beauty. He stepped into one of these pillars of light, closing his eyes. The warmth on his face was immediate and comforting, a soft caress like a warm blanket. He breathed in, and the air tasted clean and ancient. As the motes of dust drifted around him, their memories began to wash over him in gentle, overlapping waves. He felt the soft, slightly coarse texture of a well-worn woolen shawl being drawn around his shoulders, a sensation of pure comfort and safety. Then, from another mote, came the faint melodic purr of a cat, a sound so clear he could almost feel the vibration of it in his own chest. The memories were simple, kind, and profoundly peaceful. Nora appeared at his side as quietly as a shadow. She held a large, flat book bound in a soft, suede-like material, the color of dried moss. She gestured for him to follow her to a heavy, low table of dark, polished wood that felt cool and solid to the touch. The surface was as smooth as still water, reflecting the columns of light in long, distorted shapes. With a gentle reverence, she laid the book upon the table and opened its cover. This, she had explained with a soft murmur, was a whispering tome. Its pages held no words, only intricate raised patterns that he longed to trace with his fingertip. As the book lay open, a new sound filled the space around them, soft yet distinct. It was the sound of a gentle summer rain, each drop a soft patter on a forgotten rooftop and the rustle of leaves in a light breeze. The soundscape was so perfectly rendered that Cassian could almost smell the clean scent of petrichor, the fragrance of rain on dry earth. He felt a sense of calm so deep it was as if he were standing on a sheltered porch, watching the world receive a much-needed drink. All his worries washed clean away by the gentle, percussive rhythm of the water. After a time, Nora quietly closed the tome, and the sound of rain faded back into the library's profound silence. She then led him to a small, secluded alcove where a single shaft of light fell upon a high wooden lectern. On the lectern lay a sheet of parchment, seemingly blank. Nora took a small stoppered clay pot from a shelf, and using the tip of a feather, she drew a simple flowing shape on the page with a clear liquid. At first, nothing happened. Then, as she angled the parchment into the sunbeam, the shape began to appear, blooming into existence as a soft, luminous spiral of light. It was the sun-drawn ink, and it glowed with a gentle internal luminescence, the color of pale liquid gold. Cassian watched, mesmerized, as the light from the ink cast a warm, gentle glow on Nora's hands and face. The spiral seemed to slowly rotate, a miniature galaxy born of light and simple alchemy. It was a magic that did not command or conjure, but simply revealed the quiet beauty that was already present. It grew from the gentle interaction of elements, a partnership between the ink and the library's unique, benevolent light. There was a faint, clean scent coming from the glowing ink, like ozone after a lightning storm, but far softer, a fragrance of clean energy and quiet potential. He spent the rest of the morning moving slowly from one column of light to another, a quiet pilgrim on a journey of sensory discovery. He tasted the faint, lingering sweetness of honey drizzled on a warm scone from a memory 200 years old. He felt the delightful, surprising coolness of a smooth river stone held in the palm of a hand on a hot summer's day. He saw a fleeting image, soft at the edges like a dream, of a child's quiet, contented smile. Each memory was a perfect, polished bead of peace, and he gathered them not in his hands, but in his heart. The great Scriptorium was a sanctuary of stillness, a place where the past was not a weight, but a gentle, comforting presence. The texture of the air itself felt different here, softer, and filled with a quiet energy. As he finally left the grand chamber, stepping back into the slightly cooler air of the main hall, he felt lighter, his mind clear, and his spirit soothed. The soft padding of his own footsteps on the wooden floor was a pleasant and grounding rhythm, a quiet reminder of his own peaceful presence in this remarkable place. Chapter 4. An Afternoon of Stillness. In a quiet corner of the main reading room, Cassian found what he was looking for, a comfortable, deep-seated chair made of smooth, pale wood. Its arms were worn to a soft patina by generations of resting elbows, and it was upholstered in a thick, undyed wool that felt pleasantly warm and slightly textured to the touch. With a gentle effort that felt like the only exertion he had made all day, he moved the chair so that it sat directly in the path of the widest and brightest sunbeam, a golden stage for the afternoon's quiet performance. The chair's wooden legs made a soft, scraping sound on the floor, the only noise in the tranquil space. He settled into the chair, which seemed to welcome him, its cushions sighing softly as they took his weight. The support it offered was firm, yet gentle, and he felt his body instinctively relax into its embrace. The warmth of the sunbeam fell across his lap and chest, a pleasant heavy weight that felt like a sleeping cat. The air he breathed was filled with the familiar, comforting scent of the library, the aroma of old paper and beeswax, which he now associated with a profound sense of peace. He let his hands rest on the wooden arms of the chair, their surface as smooth and cool as polished bone. He let his breath slow, finding a natural rhythm that was as unhurried as the drifting motes of dust before him. He did not seek out the memories now. He simply made himself quiet and still, creating a space for them to find him. He closed his eyes, and his focus shifted from the sight of the sunbeam to the feeling of it. The warmth soaked into his clothes and through to his skin, a deeply comforting sensation that seemed to travel all the way to his bones, loosening every joint and softening every muscle. His mind, which so often was a busy place of thoughts and analysis, grew quiet and soft, fading into the gentle, resonant hum of the library. The memories came to him as soft as whispers. First came a feeling, pure and simple, the sensation of cool, clear water flowing over bare feet in a shallow creek. It was so vivid that he could almost feel the smooth, mossy riverbed beneath his soles. This was followed by a scent, rich and evocative, the fragrance of a wood fire just catching, the sharp, pleasant smell of pine kindling, giving way to the deeper, smokier aroma of seasoned oak. He breathed it in, and the scent filled his lungs with a feeling of cozy contentment and the promise of warmth against a coming chill. A fleeting visual drifted through his quieted mind, soft at the edges, as if viewed through gauze. It was the sight of sunlight filtering through the leaves of a large oak tree, creating a dappled, shifting pattern of light and shadow on a patch of soft grass. He could almost hear the accompanying rustle of the leaves, a sound like the pages of 1,000 books turning at once. Another mote drifted by, and with it came the gentle, loving feeling of a hand softly stroking a sleeping child's hair. It was a memory of such pure, uncomplicated affection that a gentle warmth spread through his chest. Time seemed to dissolve. There was no past or future in this sunbeam, only a long, continuous, and peaceful present. Cassian learned to simply receive these gentle echoes of life, these simple, perfect moments of peace that the dust had so faithfully recorded. He did not try to hold on to them or understand them. He let them wash over him and through him like a stream flowing over stones, making them smooth. In doing so, his own thoughts, his own small worries and gentle anxieties grew quiet and distant. They became just more motes, drifting in the light, possessing no more weight than any other. He became aware of a place in his shoulders he hadn't known was tense, a tight knot of muscle that was slowly, gently unspooling in the sun's persistent warmth. He felt his jaw, which was often unconsciously clenched, soften and release. The rhythm of his breathing was slow and deep and effortless, each exhalation a quiet letting go. He was simply present, a silent observer in a river of time, held safely in the warm embrace of the old wooden chair and the ancient benevolent light. As the afternoon light began to soften, turning from bright gold to a warmer, more gentle honey color, the intensity of the memories lessened. They became fainter, more dreamlike, like echoes of echoes. The sunbeam was retreating its slow march across the floor, nearing its end for the day. Cassian opened his eyes, feeling a profound sense of rejuvenation, as if he had just woken from the most restful sleep of his life. The library was still, the air was warm, and a deep, unshakable peace had settled into the very core of his being. Chapter 5. The Carry Home Light. On his final evening, as a soft purple twilight began to settle in the valley, Nora led him wordlessly up a narrow, winding stairwell. The steps were made of the same smooth, pale wood as the floors, and their footfalls made a soft, rhythmic, padding sound that was comforting in its gentle regularity. The air grew cooler as they ascended, carrying the fresh, clean scent of the coming night, a mixture of damp earth and the delicate fragrance of night-blooming jasmine that grew up the library's outer walls. The staircase opened onto a small, quiet balcony, just wide enough for 2 chairs. It was a simple, secluded space that overlooked the valley as the day prepared for its gentle rest. The sun had already dipped below the far ridge, and the sky was a beautiful, muted tapestry of soft pinks, pale oranges, and deepening indigo. The last of the sun's rays caught the very air itself, turning the atmosphere into a soft, hazy gold. Every mote of dust, every tiny particle of pollen became a tiny individual spark of departing light, a final silent farewell to the day. They stood for a moment, leaning against the smooth, cool wood of the railing, and simply watched. Nora's presence beside him was a quiet and comfortable one, a shared stillness that needed no words. Below them, the library's living roof was a soft, dark shape, and the gentle, curving path he had first walked was now lost in the deepening shadows. The contented hum of the bees had ceased, replaced by the intermittent, soft chirping of crickets tuning up for their nightly song. A gentle breeze drifted up from the valley floor, cool on Cassian's cheeks and carrying the sweet scent of clover. As they watched, the first star appeared, a tiny, perfect pinprick of silver in the darkening dome of the sky. Nora pointed to it, her expression one of simple, quiet appreciation. It was a look Cassian now understood completely, a gratitude for the small, profound beauties of the world. In the profound silence of the evening, surrounded by the gentle sounds and smells of the valley, he felt the peace of the library settle into him, no longer just an experience, but a part of who he was. They eventually sat in the 2 simple wooden chairs, which were still faintly warm from the memory of the day's sun. The wood felt solid and real beneath him. They did not speak, for there was nothing that needed to be said. The shared quiet, the gentle beauty of the fading light, and the mutual feeling of contentment were a conversation all their own. The peace of the sunken library was not an absence of sound, but a presence of deep and abiding calm. It was in the texture of the old wood, the scent of the night flowers, and the vast, silent turning of the stars above. Later, as Cassian prepared for his own rest that night, he lay in his bed and looked out the agate window. The moon had risen, and its soft, milky light filtered through the stone, painting the room in gentle shades of silver and gray. The scent of lavender from the small vase was a soothing presence in the quiet room. He closed his eyes and took a slow, deep breath, and he found that the library's memories were still with him. He could call to mind the feeling of the warm sun on his skin, the taste of honey, the sound of gentle rain. He felt a profound sense of peace settle deep within him, a stillness that felt as ancient and as durable as the library itself. He knew that when he left this place, he would not be leaving its magic behind. The memories of the library were now woven into the fabric of his own quiet stillness, a gentle internal light that he could turn to whenever he needed to find his way back to this feeling. It was a light he would carry with him, a quiet home in his heart, long after he departed from this gentle valley. He drifted toward sleep easily, his body feeling heavy and relaxed, his mind calm and clear. His last conscious thought was of a single mote of dust sparkling in a sunbeam, a tiny and perfect vessel of a quiet afternoon. The quilt felt soft and warm around him, a final comforting embrace from this place of profound rest. And as he slipped into a deep and dreamless slumber, the soft, resonant hum of the library seemed to tuck him in.